competition.
From the Blue Ridge Mountains of West Virginia to the I-35 corridor of central Oklahoma, we've got Bedlam coming up across the street tonight. And here to preview the game with me is Ashley Vandevelde, Parker Abels, and Carly Murray. I'm Dylan Rivera. Before we jump into this week's game, let's take the country roads back to West Virginia and dive into the Sooners' loss in Morgantown. It was a sloppy, cold, terrible day in the hills, but not for Eric Gray or for Billy Bowman. Let's start here with a look at Billy's Saturday. A botched hold on the PAT gets the kicker blown up by Robert Spears Jennings, and Bowman would pick up the loose football, and look at him rumble. Bowman would house this long scoop and score, but as I said, just a PAT, so it's only worth 2. Sooners go into the break up 12-6, but Garrett Green would answer back. An 11-yard touchdown run from the second stringer at the start of the fourth would even the game up at 20-20. OU kicker Zach Schmidt would have a shot at taking the lead midway through the fourth from 46 yards out, and, well, not so much. Schmidt would doink it off the right upright, and it was all Mountaineers from there. Casey Legg would hit a 25-yarder to win it for West Virginia 23-20. Eric Gray, though, not too shabby, 211 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns to go along with it. Obviously wasn't the ideal finish for Oklahoma, and while so many fingers have been pointed at the coaching staff this season, this loss, I think, was squarely on the players. The execution last Saturday was poor, to say the least.
It definitely was, Dylan, and like you said, this was a tough loss compared to the week prior. Baylor is a decent team, so you can kind of chalk that one up to acceptable, but West Virginia is widely considered the worst team in the Big 12, so definitely salt in the wound for Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked to see Oklahoma fall in Morgantown. I mean, I chalked that up for a win for OU a long time ago, and I expected them to be bowling by now, but now to get to that bowl eligibility, they have Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. That's a tough road.
Yeah, that without a doubt was Oklahoma's most embarrassing loss of the season. The Sooners couldn't score in the red zone when they needed to, and Dylan Gabriel just missed a lot of key passes.
Well, I, like many people, grew up in a house divided. My mother is an Oklahoma State fan, and my father was born and raised a Sooner. Seeing this historic matchup brought to its knees by conference realignment strikes a chord with so many Oklahomans. Spencer Sanders also has some strong feelings about the end of Bedlam.
You know, it was a fun game while it lasted. You know, if they want to go to the SEC, go ahead and go to the SEC. You know, that's your plan. We're still going to prepare to win, you know, every Big 12 championship every year and try to get in the Final Four.
And while it's one of the final bedlams, the anxiety is imminent among Sooner fans as Oklahoma sits at a 5-5 record after losing to West Virginia last Saturday. Offensive coordinator Jeff Lebby says he knows how critical it is to reach 6 wins, and it's not just to go bowling.
It's incredibly important that we go 1-0 this week. You know, finding a way to get it done on Saturday is something that we need to have happen, and you know, the importance of playing in a bowl game. There's a lot of things that go into that, but first-year staff, obviously, I think the biggest thing is more time with our guys. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and again, we've got to go find a way to get it done on Saturday.
Yeah, OU does need a bowl game, but they also need to win today for their seniors. I mean, it's senior day for so many Sooners. That's meant so much to this program. Sooner QB Dylan Gabriel says he wants them to leave Norman on a positive note with a Bedlam win.
You know, putting the seniors out on a high note, and also, shoot, winning this game. It's every game's important, and it's hard to win, but you gotta be motivated every day. And I know things haven't gone our way, but every Monday you got to come and know that there's opportunity to, you know, this Saturday, and it is coming to an end. So, you know, putting all our energy forward into that.
Luckily for the Cowboys, but unfortunately for the Sooners, it looks like one OSU senior is back. Spencer Sanders, he's been battling a shoulder injury. Last week, he entered the game late in the third quarter off the bench and threw a go-ahead touchdown pass. One thing he clearly doesn't lack is experience.
Yesterday, going back to his high school days, he's had 90-something starts, career starts as either a high school quarterback or a college quarterback. And that's a lot of snaps when you're starting 90-something ball games. So that's a lot of snaps. He puts pressure on the defense with his mobility, creates explosive plays.
A healthy Sanders is sure to give Oklahoma some problems, but a healthy Dakota McDowell-Wapakichi may be more dangerous. He joins us live from Heisman Park with more about tonight's game. Dakota.
Yeah, what a game we have here tonight in Norman under the lights. Spencer Sanders would be shivering in his cleats if I were out there on the field. Only kidding about that, guys. What I will have is more about what OU and OSU students had to say about the rivalry. Game Day U will be right back.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you!
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Back here on Game Day U, we've talked with students from OU and OSU about how the Bedlam rivalry may come to an end. Game Day U reporter Dakota McDowell-Wapakichi joins us live from Heisman Park with more about what they're saying about tonight's game and the future of the rivalry. Dakota?
Who is the little brother? There was a lot of talk between both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State students about that question. Game Day U's producer Pierce Leffelholtz and I went out into the student population to ask them what they have to say about the rivalry.
The Bedlam Series matchup between OU and OSU has been going on for 116 years. OU's departure to the SEC will put a kink into this historic rivalry whenever they leave in 2025. So what do the students have to say about the rivalry and how it looks this year?
That it's a big matchup. I feel like it'll be a big game. Everyone's excited for it. Big rivalry.
It's tradition, like, especially for all my Oklahoma friends. Like, they have half their school went to OSU, half their school went to OU.
What's funny is I've always been a Sooner fan my whole life, and then my best friend, she's always been an OSU fan. And now she's at OU and I'm here.
Now, in case you've missed the last 116 years, there's a lot of beef between the Cowboys and Sooners.
We're the big brother, and that they're not.
See, I don't think they're strong enough for the SEC.
No, I don't think so.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I have some friends back home who are just OU fans, and they're kind of obnoxious sometimes.
Being the big brother most of the time and just whipping them up, so that's really just what I remember.
Now, there's a lot of things the two fan bases can't agree upon, but one thing they can both get behind is that the Bedlam matchup will be missed after negotiations to continue the rivalry after OU's departure for the SEC were never agreed upon.
It definitely makes me sad because it's just a fun thing, and being a senior, it would be nice to come home and like do the whole Bedlam thing with my family.
Now, I'm not against OU going to the SEC. I think it'll be good for them. Probably not for the first couple of years. It's going to take a minute, but I think eventually it will be good for them. But I think they should keep the rivalry going.
Definitely sucks. Sad to see it go, but really as a university, I think it's a good opportunity for OSU to grow, you know.
There's a ton of beef between these two fan bases, making it one of the best rivalries in the country. Hopefully there are a lot more opportunities for this game in the future, including opportunities for more Heisman statues to be added to this park, and hopefully for that lonely guy in Stillwater to get another. Reporting from Heisman Park in Norman, Dakota McDowell-Apkichi, Game Day U.
Thank you, Dakota. There's a rising star at my alma mater, Broken Arrow High School, but more than anything, the name may spark memories for Sooner fans. Game Day U reporter Brig Bates has more on a big-time OU football recruit.
The Jones name is very familiar across the Sooner State, and now there's another one. Caden Jones is a freshman at Broken Arrow High School playing varsity football. His dad is nonetheless Jinx legend and former OU running back Kewan Jones. He's scored plenty for the Sooners, but now he enjoys watching his son cross the goal line and being a dad even more.
Obviously, we've been doing it now for about 15 years. I coached him all the way up to basically high school. So, and just, training and, mentally getting him ready and, just kind of telling him what it's going to take and, how to work hard, extra and just doing the little things. So it's been a journey and, it's fun and I wouldn't want to no other way.
Kewan knows raising his children is a marathon, not a race, but he's in for the journey with his son Caden every step of the way.
He's always obviously he's mentored me and I'm following his footsteps like you said, so, but main thing is I'm trying to create my own legacy and not really follow in his footsteps, but try to create, build on to what he had basically.
Caden looks up to his father for knowledge and mentorship, but focuses on creating his own path while keeping the Jones name alive in the world of football.
Oh, it's beautiful, because it just gives me flashbacks of, myself, because, he's a spitting image of me, so, the way he runs and, he's a little bit bigger than I am, so I'm fortunate enough for that, so, but yeah, it's fun.
Kewan is reliving his glory days of playing football with his son Caden running the ball, and it's something that he cherishes every time he watches him play.
I used to watch him. Every now and then I'll watch him, bring smiles to my face because it's your dad, so.
Caden looks up to his father on and off the football field, but seeing your own dad make plays just like you are is a special feeling.
Division I is the ultimate goal, and I always told myself, I can't limit my son on where he's going to go just because, I went to school at OU, but it would be a blessing. It would be a dream come true for him to, go to get recruited by, Coach Venables and another coach who coached me and for my son to follow my footsteps.
Kewan wants the best for Caden, and that's playing at the next level after high school, but he knows he can't hold him back from being himself.
Being recruited by OU, that's big. I dreamed of playing for them since I was little, following in my dad's footsteps basically, so once I get there, I'm going to just take it all in, basically a surreal feeling.
Caden's dream might be starting to come true this weekend. He will be one of the many recruits on hand at the OU game today. Back to you.
When Game Day U returns, we'll take a deeper dive into the Oklahoma State Cowboys and take a quick look around the rest of the Big 12 Conference.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
central and midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year. And lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region, too. So chances are there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back to Game Day U. Dylan Rivera, Ashley Vandevelde, Parker Abels, and Carly Murray here with you. The Pokes come rolling down I-35 on past OKC and into enemy territory here in Norman. The two sides obviously have a history, as this rivalry dates back to 1904 when the game was played in Guthrie, Oklahoma. These two sides are remarkably similar in some of the team stat categories. For example, defensively, both schools allow more than 29 points per game and give up 430-plus yards per game. On paper, it shapes up pretty evenly today.
It definitely is even, Dylan. Both teams started out the season strong defensively and have since declined. So it's really going to be up to quarterback Spencer Sanders to pull this Poke offense together. And for the Sooners, the same can be said for quarterback Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Oklahoma State has been struggling, but they still have a lot to fight for. With only 2 games left, they're still in the race for a Big 12 title appearance. They're hoping for a Kansas State and a Texas loss today, but they're definitely going to bring their A games with hopes of making it back to Arlington.
Yeah, I think with a healthy Spencer Sanders back, the Oklahoma defense doesn't stand a chance, but he was shut out by the Kansas State Wildcats, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays today.
A lot of moving parts in the Big 12, as Parker mentioned just a few minutes ago. These last 2 Saturdays will decide a lot in the conference championship race, but there's one game in particular I have my eye on. The Longhorns are certainly hearing the footsteps because it's that time of year again. Texas versus Kansas. Our analysts at the end of the show will break down this one, but I'm already getting the chills thinking about the possibility of the Jayhawks going 3-3 against Texas in their last 6 meetings.
That would be something, but once the Sooners are through with Bedlam, they will be in Lubbock next weekend. I'll be doing a little scouting as the Red Raiders take on Iowa State this weekend. With a win, Texas Tech is at 6 wins, but with a loss, they will have the Sooners' number next weekend to reach a bowl game. And Oklahoma could be heading into Lubbock with a 5-6 record itself if they lose today.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look at that Kansas State and West Virginia game. This game is going to be highly contested. Obviously, West Virginia is back at home and excited after their win against the Sooners last weekend. Kansas State controls their own destiny to get to that Big 12 title game. A loss for them would give the Pokes and Longhorns hope for a rematch with the Horned Frogs.
Well, I'm a Texas girl, so I'm excited for the rivalry. Baylor versus TCU. Dave Aranda and the Bears are coming off an embarrassing win against Kansas State. The only points they put up on the board, the Bears put up on the board was a field goal. They lost 31-3, and we all know TCU is one of the hottest teams in the country, so I'm interested to see how the Horned Frogs will play against the Bears, but I think it'll be an easy win for them.
Absolutely. Well, Game Day U rolls on here after the break. We'll put OU under the microscope and dissect what it'll take for the Sooners to come out on top. Stay with us.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Welcome back to Game Day U. Dylan Rivera, Ashley Vandevelde, Parker Abels, Carly Murray. It's no secret that Oklahoma has struggled this season, now sitting at 5-5, but there's a multitude of ways that this team can attack OSU and come out with a win today. I'll kick things off, but I have something a little more unique that I'd like to call out today. Whomever is the spy on a given play, you have to execute against OSU. Against Big 12 opponents, Oklahoma is giving up 65.5 rushing yards per game to quarterbacks. Spencer Sanders is the second leading rusher for Oklahoma State with 349 yards and a massive 8 rushing touchdowns on the season. So on individual plays where there is a spy on the field, that spy has got to be ready to fly to the ball today.
It's a problem we've seen with Oklahoma, especially over the last 2 games, and that is stopping teams up on 3rd and 4th down. This relates to your point, Dylan. If the Sooners can just hold the Cowboys, who only scored 20 points once in the last 3 weeks, OU definitely has a shot. It's all about getting the basics down for this Sooner football team.
Yeah, Dylan mentioned it. Spencer Sanders is going to suit up for the Pokes, which means the DBs have to be ready. Sanders has been a very pass-heavy QB this year, and depending on the pass, if OU has struggled a lot with that, and I'm really looking for guys like Woody Washington and Justin Broyles to step up today, and Billy Bowman is back for the Sooners, and maybe they can hold OSU to enough points to give the offense a chance.
The offense needs to make plays. Right now, Eric Gray is the only active playmaker. Dylan Gabriel needs to connect with his pass catchers. The lack of connection between Marvin Mims and Dylan Gabriel has been really disappointing this season.
Well, now it's time to pick our final score. I'm going to hold mine because I'll be around for the next portion of the show. But you guys, who do you have today?
I have Oklahoma, actually. I think they're going to pull it out 31-24. Big Bedlam matchup. The Sooners want to make a bowl game. Hopefully they can finish the season with 7 wins.
I think it's going to be a very, very high-scoring game. I don't think in the cold weather, it's going to be cold, but Oklahoma State is going to end up winning 44-38. A lot of points are going to go up, which makes it a longer game. It's going to be even colder.
Honestly, I think that the Cowboys are going to run all over Oklahoma. So I have 34-20 OSU. The Sooners don't stand a chance.
Parker's right. It's going to be cold, so buy your hand warmers, people. It's going to be cold out there. That wraps up our season as a group here on Game Day U, but don't go anywhere because we have nationwide coverage with 3 new faces coming up after the break.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Central and Midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are, they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
We've got a whole new crew in here with me. Welcome in Kenzie Eiserman, Madeline Hunter, and Jimmy Wicks. Jimmy, thanks for letting me borrow the tie. There's a lot of major matchups around the country this week, and we start in the Big 12. This is a game that I'm sure Texas fans have been terrified of all season long. It's the Kansas Jayhawks versus the Texas Longhorns. Kenzie.
Now, one of these teams is going to have to take a second straight loss, but let me tell you why it won't be Texas. Texas's defense is very impressive, especially against TCU, and only gave up 17 points. If they do it again this weekend, they have a shot at blowing Kansas out of the waters. So, hook 'em Longhorns.
Yeah, Kenzie, it's Texas versus Kansas week, and the Jayhawks are trying to pull off yet another upset against the Longhorns. But as Lee Corso would say, not so fast, my friend. I see Quinn Ewers, Bijan Robinson, and Xavier Worthy all having big games in response to last week's offensive struggle. Give me the Horns by 10+ points.
I'm going to disagree with you there. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Jalen Daniels is expected back this week for the first time since TCU, and Kansas with a win today would beat Texas back-to-back years for the first time ever. The Jayhawks have gone over 500 yards 5 times this season. Expect 6 for the Jayhawks and a big win.
Kenzie, let's take it back to your neighborhood for this one. A Southern California contest, USC and UCLA. Who takes it?
Now, this match is a historic one in the Golden State, but Zach Charbonnet is one of the best running backs in the country, giving the Bruins just over 1,100 yards on the ground, along with 13 touchdowns. Him and QB Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be key in this game. Give me the Bruins.
I agree, Kenzie. UCLA had a tough loss last week at home against Arizona, and now they have to face a USC offense led by superstar Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison. Look for USC to put up a ton of points, but one of the worst defenses in the nation will get exposed once again. Give me the Bruins in a high-scoring affair.
I'm going to go with the other team in LA. Give me the Trojans. If you like a lot of points, even this game might be just a little too much. With that being said, put the mortgage on the over. I expect USC to make a couple turnovers and take the win in the City of Angels.
A rematch of last year's Pac-12 championship pits the Utah Utes against the Oregon Ducks. A lot of things have changed for these teams since the last season. Kenzie, does the result change?
Now, this game is going to be a close matchup for the Utes and the Ducks, but the Utes' winning streak is coming to an end today. Oregon's offense has been averaging 42 points per game, and I'm taking the Ducks because Auburn transfer Bo Nix is the star with 24 touchdowns and just under 3,000 yards.
Yeah, Kenzie, Bo Nix and company will look to get back on track against a talented Utah team. They are out of the college football playoff running, but still have a lot to play for and can win the Pac-12 if they win out. I expect Cam Rising to struggle in one of the toughest environments in college football. Look for the Ducks to avenge last week's tough loss.
The last time these two met, these kind of similar, the Utes were teaching the Ducks a lesson. Also, Vegas knows since Sunday, the line moved from Oregon being favored by 3, and now it is Utah by 2. I'll never fade them again. Give me the Utes.
Never fade them again. I like that. And finally, we bring it back home to Norman. One of the final rounds in a historic annual bout. The Oklahoma Sooners take on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Kenzie, who are you taking?
Now, I'm going to be the bad guy here because OU is playing one of the best teams in the conference, and I just have a really hard time believing that they're going to be able to pull out a win, even at home. They have been struggling defensively this season, giving up 432 yards per game. Sanders and the Cowboys are going to walk all over the Sooners if their defense plays the way it has been all season.
I mean, the Cowboys stole the game last year in Stillwater. However, this game has been dominated by the Sooners all time. Spencer Sanders is probably going to play, but he is super banged up, so look for the Sooners to get after him. I see Marvin Mims and Eric Gray having a field day against an Oklahoma State defense who has numerous starters out.
Yeah, guys, little brother is gonna little brother. Come on, give me the Sooners. OSU is outside the top 100 in scoring defense, and that doesn't match up well with the up-tempo, Jeff Lebby-led OU offense. One thing OSU does well is get after the quarterback, though, so keeping DG upright is the most important factor. I got OU by 3 touchdowns, blowout.
I absolutely disagree with you. because you see that Baker Mayfield statue out there in Heisman Park today? I'm going to have Spencer Sanders giving him a little stiff arm out here. 41-28, the Cowboys take the win. Our season here in Studio A is complete. There will be no Game Day U show for next Saturday's game against Texas Tech. We thank you for joining us all season long. I hope you have a great game day.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.